My God is a rock in a weary land. Weary land in a weary land. My God is a rock in a weary land. Shelter in a time of storm. Chapter 1, God's work was just begun. Hallelujah. Let me tell you about the chapter 2. Chapter 2, God's written his Bible. Oh, divine. Let me tell you about the chapter 3. Chapter 3. Lord God died on Calvary, and my Lord is a rock in a weary land. Weary land in a weary land. Shelter in a time of storm. And I know he is a rock in a weary land. In a weary land, in a weary land. And I know he is a rock in a weary land. Shelter in a time of storm. Stop and let me tell you about the listen to chapter 4. He knew the Lord. Let me tell you about the chapter 5. Chapter 5. Let me tell you about the chapter 6. He went in Jerusalem and healed the sick. Oh, my God is a rock in a weary land. In a weary land, in a weary land. My God is a rock in a weary land. Shelter in a time of storm. Jesus, He is a rock in a weary land. Weary land is a weary land. He is a rock in a weary land. Shelter in a time of storm. Let me tell you about the death of Bethel, died and risen and went to heaven. Let me tell you about the death of King John, standing at the golden gate. Stop and let me tell you about the death of my Jesus.
reading today from Psalm 98. Sing praise to God with the harp and melodious singing, with trumpets and the blast of the shofar. Raise a shout to God, ruler of all. Let the sea and all within it thunder, the world and all its peoples. And hear what the Spirit is saying to the church.
Thanks.
Church, is this, okay, thank you. We are the message for the day for Music Sunday. And we're all going to just talk a little bit about why is music an integral part of our lives. So if there's anybody out there keeping the little clock on, keep us to about 2.5, 3 minutes per person, so that we'll keep this in the Methodist tradition. I'm Karen Tyler Ruiz, a member of the church and in the choir, and I wanted to say that for me, music to me is a spiritual and universal language. No matter where you are, what language you speak, or if you don't speak, and even if you don't hear, I don't know, but everyone can feel, see, touch music in their own way, and that's really been the way my whole life has been. Grew up in a household where music was vital. We had a piano, which was a thing back in the day, especially in the black communities. Like, if you had a piano, it was a big deal. So everybody I knew had a piano. And all of us in our family, and if the Tyler family is large, there were seven children. Everybody played an instrument of some sort. And in my case, started with violin, I think when I was 3, and played that for about 5 years, and would have kept going, but then life got in the way, and my mom and dad broke up, and then, money wasn't a thing. So I was already playing with the guy from the DSO when I was 8, learning vibrato, when I had to stop taking lessons. But then I just started playing the piano because it was there, and my sisters played, so I just started to play and made up songs. And I had a neighbor who was much better than me, but we would jam, quote unquote, on the piano. We had a good time. I went on to make 1 or 2 songs. He went on to play with Don Was. I didn't make it that far. I sang in choirs my entire life, starting in about 8, 9 years old. So I was always in a choir all the way through high school. And college, I started to sing a little bit of gospel and spiritual for the first time, because I didn't sing it much growing up. Although I heard it, I just didn't sing it. And so that was really nice. And then after I got out of school, there was a big break. And I actually started with Bobby's choir as a community choir, because I really wanted to sing. I wasn't singing with Central then, and I found it, and then I found Bobby Thompson at the time, and started singing with that choir until I wandered back to Central again. The other thing I wanted to just share is my daughters. I have 2 daughters. One morning, my oldest, Aisha, was saying, I just read something about people like color and music. They like see color when they hear music. And I'm like, yeah, and she's like, wait, what? She said, you, what? And then my other daughter walked in, Olivia, and we looked at each other and we're like, yeah. And she said, well, what about this song? What color is it? We looked at each other and we was like, orange. And it just dawned on me that was not necessarily the thing with everybody, that songs, notes, and everything all are related to color and light to me, and sound. I mean, language is also music to me, and it never dawned on me that wasn't like what everybody thought. So that's my music story.
Thank you, Karen. This morning I wrote down a couple, some lists here I wanted to read with you. Almost since human existence, we've they made music for these reasons: to celebrate, to mourn, to worship, to soothe, to work, to say hello, to say, to tell stories, to say goodbye, to express our deepest emotions, and for joy, the feeling of joy. And I've had this all my life. At 4 years old, 5, I was known in my extended family as a singer. I would go around singing little ditties from the commercials on TV or shows on TV or things on the radio, and I just always just sang stuff that I would hear every day. And in elementary school, I did some singing, and I didn't sing seriously in choirs until junior high, and became a very good singer from that. And what inspired me at that age was as junior high people were able to sing in the opera with the high schoolers, and I was so impressed by the talent that these guys had, how they could, the talent, the voices, and so forth. And I said, I want to do that one day. And so as I stayed in choir from junior high to high school, I ended up doing the same thing, being in the operettas and musicals and so forth, and it was a joy. And then I went on to college, where I had some training in music and got even better on how to use the voice and how to inspire people, and turned professional at that time. And I've had varied experiences. I've sung madrigals in different professional choirs. I've done Michigan Opera Theater and other opera companies. I've been able to solo with symphony orchestras around the area, and then sing in the chorus in the Detroit Symphony. And I've even had the experience of singing, being a part of the quartet in the synagogue, where we did high holidays, Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. So I've had varied experiences in music, all bringing me joy, and not just joy for me, but giving joy to others also is the way I see it. I came to this church because of my longtime friend and colleague at the time, Joanne Snyder, because I heard about the music here, and she brought me here, and I fell in love with the church and the music program here. And also met my wife, Maggie, singing in a professional choir 40 years ago. So you also meet people, and you come together in choirs, and you get to like each other, you get to share different, have things in common, and even with things that are different, it's nice to have the diversity of different people that you meet. So music's been a part of my life. I've been very fortunate to have the experiences that I've had, and the main thing is that the joy it brings to me and the joy you can give to others.
Hello, church. I'm Jim Bull, and I think where I would start out is that music is all around, and if we just open our ears to it, and I think first of nature, bird song, frog song, insects, the lapping waves, the crashing waves, the babbling brook, the plaintive, eerie sound of the common loon. I've been exposed to that all my life, but also exposed to music in so many other ways. Grateful to my parents for that exposure, going to Detroit Symphony Orchestra youth concerts once a month, to Belle Isle band concerts at least once a week in the summer, hearing Pete Seeger at just on street, what's it's called, not the music hall, the Masonic Temple. And my mother's records, she was always playing Leontine Price and Marian Anderson and Porgy and Bess, Ella Fitzgerald. And then the music at Central was just so wonderful to take in. And not only during the service, but there were concerts, not just classical, but show tunes, and there's a jazz series. And I remember Fred Marriott, our organist and director of music, once right outside in Grand Circus Park, there was a portable carillon that he played. He was a carillon player. And also I think about just how music helps us remember things. It can evoke, really strong memories like smells do. But also it helps us remember, think about in elementary school we learned the ABC song. How did we learn our ABC? Singing a song, right? It can really transport us to whole new places of being. It reaches us at a deeper level, like art. Our gallery reaches people that you sometimes couldn't reach in didactic, narrative. And I think music is the same way. It's a way to express ourselves about nature and about life, but also a way that we can take in and hear and experience, others' creativity in deeper ways. In fact, Khalil Gibran called music the language of the spirit. It's a universal language, and also it just embodies culture. I'm so grateful the music of different cultures, and whether we emphasize when we have different months, African American History Month or Asian and Pacific Islander Month and so forth. Music is really which transports us there. It's different ways to experience the world and God. Bono said music can change the world. It's also an integral part of protest. What would a protest march be without music? I think about first hearing Peter, Paul, and Mary on the steps of the Capitol in Washington, D.C. on a bus that went from Central down there, and also Julie Boutel leading the music on a lot of local protests. Well, as far as me, I led campfire sing-alongs for the National Park Service, but I'll tell you, singing in church just was something that was kind of scary. In fact, my mother kept trying to get my brother and me to be part of the children's choir. I just didn't think I sang well enough. But I remember Reverend Ed Rowe, when we were doing an Earth Day service, we wanted to do a circle around the church and do a Navajo blessing dance. And he wanted me to go to the choir at Wednesday rehearsal and teach them the song, which I did, kind of with trepidation. And then I heard people like Rod and others say, "You need to join the choir. You got a great voice." And I was like, "What?" It took me a few weeks and finally talked to Ed Mackey Schramm, and he welcomed me into the choir, and it's been such a gift. It just feels so wonderful to be part of a group producing beautiful music and to know that I'm, one little part of that. And also, it's just become a family. It's just like a second family to me. It's home.
So Karen, I prepared about 45 minutes here, but, I can whittle about 5 minutes off. So. I like the Methodist tradition. So I spend a lot of time thinking about music, of course. I spend a lot of time thinking about music, as you can imagine, but I also spend a lot of time thinking about work and the purpose of work in the world, what we do for each other. And the truth I try to live in the world and walk is that the work I do is to feed others, to serve others, to help others. Whether in the eyes of the world my work is the lowliest of the low or high and, whatever, what makes it great or not so great is the spirit with which I do it. So, and I think about the work of like a bagger at a grocery store and how they feed others by getting their groceries ready so they can eat at home, or the sanitation worker who keeps the streets clean and keeps the trash out of people's neighborhoods, and the academic, maybe, I could go on and on, of who feeds others through thought and through intellectual ideas that enrich their lives, But I think about music and what's the tangible purpose of music, There's nothing we can hold on to, nothing we can grasp in music. But we know it has value. And to me, the value of music is that it feeds the soul, feeds the spirit, such as whatever work we do in the world, trash collector, finance person, whatever, it inspires that individual to do that from a place of feeding and serving others, and doing it for God, and serving others as one would serve God. And to me, that's a huge honor to be in that role. Not just music, also the arts in general. To have that, to be able to serve in that capacity. And, if I'm just doing a job, just earning a paycheck and, make ends meet, I'm not saying it's a wrong attitude, and, especially for struggling, right? But I think the spirit we should have with work is to serve one another however we can. And so, I find myself very fortunate in this lifetime to be able to make music and be born in a musical family. I don't know what got me into music. From the time I was a kid, my goal was to be an ambulance person. I didn't know what they did. And I would have liked to be the ambulance driver, but I thought driving was too scary. I'll never learn how to do that. So I'll do the easy job and work in the back and whatever they do back there. And the next thing I can remember after that is I want to be a drummer. I'm going to play drums, nothing else. I'm not going to teach. I'm just going to play drums. That's the one thing. And as I continue in my spiritual journey, I learn more and more to listen to my heart. I never thought I'd play piano or teach or sing or write songs or do anything that I'm occupied in these days, but I listen to what God or the divine or the beloved, whatever you want to call it, is calling me to do, to serve one another and to feed one another. So one last point I want to make is with music in particular, you don't have to be a professional to serve others. If you're a brain neurosurgeon, you do have to be a professional if you want to serve others. But in music and the arts in general, we can touch we can touch one another's spirits and make the world a more beautiful place, no matter our level of training or experience. So I'm not trying to do an ad for the pickup choir, but there is going to be pickup choir this summer. Consider it. And so yeah, I think anyone that gets to make music in any capacity is extremely lucky. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.